This is a video on replacing the B6 chassis Audi and VW power steering lines. As you can see, right up there is where they are. Apparently the guy who designed this car really hated his fellow man and mechanics in general, and certainly anybody who tries to DIY anything. You can see you got two banjo bolts there for both lines. You got the return line, which is in the front, the pressure line, which is in the back. The pressure line, of course, is always the one that leaks. When you go to take it off, you can get a ratchet on the front line. It's a 22 millimeter. The rear will take a wrench. It's a 19 millimeter. You can pull them off, get them out of the way. In order to do that, though, we were doing some other things on this car, but we have the reservoir off to give us room up top. We took this transmission mount out right here because we were replacing the neutral start safety switch, also the transmission range indicator, depending on what you want to call it. And we took the CV axle out just to get as much room as possible. And we took the tie rod end out and, you know, all the crap you got to take the CV axle. The rear has to be done with a wrench. If it's got a good angle on it, that's great. You are not going to get a ratchet in there. You're not going to get a ratcheting wrench in there. They're just not going to fit. The front, you can get a 22 millimeter socket if it's short, and also a slim headed ratchet. You will need both of those to be able to get in there to that. And it will work, but it's kind of a pain. And they're going to be tight, so be careful. You will bust your knuckles if you're pushing real hard once it breaks loose. We want to try to get it down here so I can show you a little bit of what we did from up top as well. And here's the ratchet I use. This is, I think this is a Duralast. Yeah, it's a Duralast extendable ratchet with a very narrow head and a short 22 millimeter all in 3/8 drive. Here is your fitting that goes into your power steering pump. Make sure you get this indexed properly. Because, which of course it's not going to focus there. If it is over in this area, this will not fully seat, and if you try to tighten that bolt up, you will damage the threads on your power steering pump. So once you get it started, reach in, grab a hold of your hose, wiggle it so that you can get this pushed down, then finish tightening this up. Here's the way you want to do this when you're putting it together. Do not hook this line up first. Hook your rear line up to begin with, leaving this loose. I actually brought this end of the hose out through here so that I could get it into position. You also want to make sure your hose is bent properly. Ours wasn't, so wasted a lot of time trying to make it work. Finally got it. Once you get that line in, you'll want to reattach your return line because you're going to need to move this hose and wiggle it around to get your return line hooked up to your power steering rack. Then you can come up and reattach this. That will make it a fairly easy job. It's going to stink. You're going to get dirty. And heaven help you if you've got a swear jar that your wife uses to buy things for herself, because she's going to get some awful nice jewelry by the time you're done. So I hope this helps you guys, and I hope you have a better time of it than I did.